us, but not in the video reality, apparently just in the audio or just this observers. And so we're happy to have you too. I know both of them, and Dave knows.
Hello.
Hello
from audio land. Hello.
I was hoping to see Miss Tara because I haven't seen her in quite some time.
Oh, is she coming on? And there she
came off mute.
I'm off mute. Yeah, this is Tara. I'm eating some delicious tacos I just made, and I'm not camera ready, but you can look at my picture, hopefully, and I can actually see all of you. So I'm excited to be here with the dynamic duo of Dave and Juliana, two amazing rock stars that make amazing music together for sure. So love you guys. Excited to be here tonight.
Thank you, Tara. It's so good to be connected. Whew. So for those of you who don't know Dave, Dave and I run leadership groups in Chicagoland. We met as members of the Townsend Leadership Program, the non-academic branch of the Townsend world. And we've just been sharing our brain. It's like I have half a brain and he has half a brain. And between us, we're really a wonderful person. We can meet so many needs. So
I'm just not nearly as much fun as she is. That's
but you have some other stellar qualities, like making fun of me. That counts. That counts. I kid you not. When he picks up the phone, do you know what he says? Hello, trouble. That's what he calls me. I don't know where he got that from.
They do.
They do. So if you join a TLP, man, you make friends for life, at least one out of every group that sticks with you, and some that you do business with, and others that just are part of your life team. It's just like it's like the Institute, but for people who don't want the academic piece. Okay, so I am recording. I am going to start sharing my screen. I want you to think of what questions you have and put them in the chat. So that actually I'm going to share my PowerPoint only. And I always feel disconnected when I do this because it's like I can't see everybody then. But we're going to just do this. Okay. So at some point, it's going to be time to fly, right? It's going to be time to stop putting information in and start to give it out and give it away. And when you're ready for that, you want to build it, then you got to brand it, and you got to sell it. And no matter where you are in the process, you can begin thinking about this as you're learning, because everything you do is focused on giving it away, right? And presumably giving it away and making a living. And we want you to do that. We want you to build a practice in whatever form that makes sense to you. Consulting, coaching, therapy, training dogs that have character structure problems. I'm not sure where you'll end up. I think that's Mishi's calling. But perhaps we will add a little information to this for you today. So the first thing is to think about what you want to know and put it in the chat. During the part one, we did that. We did just that. And that we're answering the questions that we didn't get a chance to answer from part one tonight. And we're also going to open up to Q&A for you who are present on the call. So there are tasks to do under building it. There are tasks to do under branding it and under selling it. And some things you have to do in order, but some things you can just start doing as you go. And I'll tell you what, an entrepreneur is sort of building the next step that they go to while they're stepping. And so much of my entrepreneurial life has been like, oh, you'd like me to do what? Oh, yes, I can do that. I better go back and create that product. Or it's been, hey, you guys have this need. Let me meet it for you. Let me cast a vision for how I can meet that need. And wherever it is, if you're ready to offer something or ready to say, yes, I'll find a way. It's like, if you build it, they'll come. And as you're building it, they will come. So there's no time that's bad to start this or to start thinking about it. The first work we did focused on building it. And we talked about the nuts and bolts of that. Your really good structure, free resource is sba.gov, Small Business Admin. And it will teach you all of these things. You can launch your business, pick this. This gives you like step-by-step stuff to do. Choosing your business name, registering, getting tax ID, applying for license, permits, bank accounts, all this stuff. It's a great resource. Plus, and Anita is the one who turned me on to this. I have actually my own appointment for free for starting my next business, which is going to be speaking, public speaking on EI, emotional intelligence. And I want to focus on Chicago. And so I called them up and I said, hey, what do you give me for Chicago? How can I make that work? And and so they're going to coach me presumably and help me think through a business plan. Now, you can do all of these things on your own. You can do all of them on your own through this website and through just asking around and figuring things out. Or you can get a coach to do it, or you can pay someone to do this for you. It all depends on where you want to put your energy. One thing I will say is that sometimes you think, oh, I'll just do my billing on my own with my own handwritten stuff, right? And I'll do my Excel spreadsheet. I can do that. And you spend 4 days trying to figure that out. And at the end, you're like, wow, someone else probably thought this through, and it might be easier if I pay a subscription to QuickBooks for $20 a month or whatever it is. And they would have all of this one-stop shopping. Both are true. Both are true. You have to choose what you want to put your energy into. And we also know that just getting data and information is not the whole story. Because, as all of you on this call know, what it takes is also internal character to execute the plan. So Dave and I think it's about 30% skill, 30% information, 40% character. The question you need to ask is, what do I need? And we just, in the sidebar, if you need information, go to SBA. If you need a skill and you want to learn it, or you want to delegate it, like social media, go find someone who does that. Hire them to teach you, or get your 16-year-old to coach you on Instagram, which is what I did during the kickoff. Did any of you see my Instagram during the kickoff? You got to go back and see all the reels of like me and Madeline in the background. We were shenaniganing. So fun. So if you need a skill on managing your calendar, test out the top 3 calendar systems, right? Dave and I used Time Trade for a long time. Now Calendly seems to be better. Other people, if you need a CRM, use HubSpot, or those things are out there. Those skill-based kind of things. You can learn that. The question is, what do you need others to help you learn? And sometimes we can do the character work on our own. And hey, you guys, if you just get all that done and by the date you want it and the target date and you're launched, then you don't need extra stuff. But if you do, then you might need a coach. And we'll talk about that later. But the truth is, there's a lot of resources in this room, or in TI, right? Tons of people who want to practice coaching. Tons of people, if it's just about making a plan, getting it done, hold you accountable, figure things out, even sprinkling some character work. There's a whole lot of resources just on the Townsend website, on TI Family, the Facebook, right? But just keep in mind, you can get information and you probably can learn the skill to do it. It's really the character piece that's the mystery, which is the secret sauce that you guys have that most coaches don't. Some people call that emotional intelligence. I would say character is even one step deeper. I really believe you guys have something most people don't. All right, the next thing, brand it. I'm a fan of StoryBrand because it does branding and selling sort of in one package. They do websites, they do trainings that you can hire a branding coach. There's all sorts of things you could do. Or again, you could read the book and get the free stuff online and get a cohort together and go through this. But the way StoryBrand works is essentially, you always have to know what the pain point is when you're selling and branding. What is it that they need? So you have a person in mind that needs something. When they need that, you want to become what they call the guide. You want to be the guide that says, hey, that's hard. I see it. And I know what to do. I know the path forward. You have to communicate that in your marketing. And then you have to give them a plan. Here's your plan. Like I'm doing tonight. You guys do it on your own. Get a cohort, find a friend. If that doesn't work, hire a coach. If that doesn't work, hire us. If that doesn't work, go to a retreat. If that, like there are things to do to open this door to go down this pathway. So I know the path. It just depends on how you want to get there. And you want to be the person that will show them the path, summarize the plan. They have a problem, which is they're stuck or they have a practice and they don't know how to, they don't know how to increase their number of people they're serving, whatever their problem is. To be honest, I really never got what the direct and transitional stuff is, so I can't answer that. But what I can say is call you to action, like make a plan. Whenever I'm with you, including tonight, and Wendy, I want you to think about this because I know you've got to get off early. I want you to leave here with a SMART goal. I want you to leave here thinking, what is the next thing I'm going to do to move myself forward? I don't care what it is, but you want to keep moving it down the court, taking a step. So then you cast the vision for the successful results. So I just did a StoryBrand and he has a one-liner where you do, write this down. It's what's the problem, what's the product, and what's the result? What's the problem? What's the product? What's the result? So this is what you're supposed to say when people say, who are you? Tell me about yourself. Hey, you say, well, you know how every great leader sometimes gets emotionally hijacked? You know how that can happen? People get emotionally hijacked. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and I teach tools to leaders to help them manage their emotions and help their team manage theirs so that they can together make good business decisions. I'm working on it. It needs to be a little smaller, but that's essentially what I want to do. I open up with the pain point. Everyone gets hijacked. They all know what it's like to be in a board meeting and lose their stuff. They do. Or they've seen it happen and they're like, wow, if you have a solution for that, baby, I'm in. So you have to think about what problem you solve and what pain point. When I'm talking to different people, I might use a slightly different pain point. So that's the shortest version of branding and selling. But this, of course, takes time and energy to work through and get down to your 3 and be able to put that on your website and all that. So we want to move towards the Q&A. I hope that you've put some of your questions in the chat. We're going to answer, Dave and I are going to do like a panel discussion here, answering those questions and your questions. What I want you to think about is, where are you? Are you just considering the idea that you want to start a practice? You're just kind of gathering information, or are you just thinking about it? Or are you actively researching? Like, if any of you heard what I said on the first round, have you actually gone to sba.gov? Have you done that? Have you set up a free phone call? That's moving forward. That's researching and ready to execute. What you don't want to do, because grad school can make you sit in number 1 and 2 for a long time, right? That's what grad school's for. That's okay. That's good. I'm here to tell you what I'm all about is like, let's get something done. Like, let's build it, brand it, and sell it. I'm very pragmatic, even in my coaching, in my therapy. When I teach, I'm like, I want to make sure that this is getting translated to something that you can do. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So the question I want you to think about right now, is it a competence or confidence that you need to take the next step? And I'd like everyone to just unmute and just say, if you think if you're willing, is it competence or confidence that you would like to increase?
I'm at the step of competence.
Okay, awesome. You're building
Yeah.
some knowledge base. Leslie?
I would say the same thing. I've already like got a little Facebook page started and I'm working on a certification and all that, but yeah, the competence is the piece I need.
I love it. And that you guys are therapists, right?
Yes, but yeah, but I also have a ministry piece of this as well. That's what I'm actually in the midst of it executing right now. So I've done the SBA phone call, set up the bank account, all that. I got the
Awesome.
logo. I'm trying to build the website. So, but learning how to do all that that's why I'm trying to build that competence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Anyone else willing to say competence or confidence that you
So for
need?
me, it's confidence. So I've got the website, the social media marketing, the blog going, the licensed business account, tax ID, all of that. It's just now like I'm kind of stuck in making that voice go out to people. Like what marketing platform is working? How much money do I need to budget for it? Why am I just not making the calls to my sphere of influence? And that's where I'm stuck.
Yep. Okay. So you are in the you got your platform. You just need to push.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
selling it.
And selling it. Okay. Good. Good, good, good.
Can I be both?
Can you be both? No, you're always both and, Nishi.
True. That's so true. I think I'm a little bit like that. I'm building my website. I'm close to launching, which is exciting. And I feel pretty competent, but there are a few things that I'm like, okay, have I actually figured that part out? And I'm with you. I tend to get stuck in my head a little bit in terms of the 1 and the 2. And I want to be, I'm really excited to pull the trigger. And I tend to be ready, aim, fire.
So can I make a couple comments here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of assumptions about what you have to do. None of you need a website to start. I did not have a website for 3 years. You're offering something that's deep. You're pulling people into something, and that comes on a relational platform.
Yeah.
The work that you aspire to do, no one's going to call 1-800-HELP-ME, find your name, and call you.
That's weird.
It will all come on a relational link.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would issue every one of you a challenge. Why can't you have revenue coming in 2 weeks?
Mic drop.
Okay. So who are the 5 people that you've got to call to just let them know what you're trying to do? If you want to grab 1 or 2 pro bono people, that's fine. But you're in motion, doing the work inside of 2 weeks. There's candidly, you guys all said competence, or most of you, you know more than enough to get started. Because here's how it's going to go. You're going to lay out this plan. I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F. You're going to get to C, and M is going to show up. And you're like, scrap all that, go straight to M. And you're going to do that. And then AA will show up, right? I mean, so this is not going to go plan, execute the plan, get the results like we've been taught in most of our educational things. You're going to get going, and a really cool thing's going to pop out the left-hand side, and you're going to seize that opportunity. It's like getting on the on-ramp on an expressway. You cannot know where you're going to fit when you're on top of the on-ramp.
Ooh,
Ever
that's
teach someone
good,
to drive a
Dave.
car? Get on the on and get up to speed. But where am I supposed to fit? We don't know yet. You feel just like that. We
Yeah.
won't know till we get there, but if you're not up to speed, you can't get in the lane.
Hey, I have a question. Actually, I'm through and through an entrepreneur, and this coaching thing, like I own a home staging business, and I'm like, I love transformations, but I'm like, houses don't do it for me anymore. And I literally started like about like this whole training program. Like I really think I want to do group coaching,
Okay.
which is a little different. However, I don't think I have my niche. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a trial and error kind of girl, so I'll try
Right.
any, you know what I mean? That's how I learn. But how important is it to find, like, did you guys have a niche and then like all of a sudden like certain people started coming to you and it changed, or like?
Yeah, I have two things to say. One is there's a reason they call it a practice. Okay.
That's great.
Especially when I was a therapist, I'm kind of like, I don't know who I'm good at with. Okay. So in my practice, my beginning years, I realized I don't want to work with teenagers. I don't like them. They don't like me. I don't want to do it. It's a special skill set. So then I learned what I did like. So the short answer for me in that space is start doing something. Like you said, Rebecca, you're not afraid to fail, which is the hallmark of a good entrepreneur. And you're like, well, I'll try it. Does it work? It works. Do I like it? Yeah. It pays the bills. I don't like it and it pays the bills. Well, maybe then I can course correct and do something even better. So that's my thought. What's your thought, Dave?
Yeah, when I was in your shoes, when I first started, I actually had two runs at this. I started traditional executive coaching before I knew the Townsend model, got pulled back into corporate, and then launched after I learned the Townsend model. But the revenue is, there's the three most important things about starting a business are revenue, revenue, and revenue. You don't have any choices to make until you have money coming in. That's it. Run to revenue. So if you've already got and you're ready to go with the group, put 4 people in a room and giddy up. Once you got money coming in, right, then you can start making choices. I'll have a little more of this and a little less of that. But motion creates motion.
Mm-hmm. And confidence.
And so right now you need to be in motion, even if you're not working with ideal clients, but you aren't smart enough to know who your ideal client is. I've been doing this now since, well, I've been a coach now for 15, 20 years. I've been doing it on my own, completely external with the Townsend model since 14. I'm still narrowing that down. I'm still working on exactly what I want to do. I'm doing group work, consulting work, and coaching work right now, but who's the ideal client? And it gets clearer and clearer and clearer the more you go. But I could never have predicted where I am today, where I started.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's really good to hear, because I feel a little bit like when I came out of TI, that was a message I heard loud and clear was know your niche, know your niche, know your niche, know your niche. And I was a little bit like, well, I think I have 14 niches. And so the exercise or the discipline of sort of narrowing it down, I have felt a little bit handcuffed, like, oh, well, I gotta name my niche, and so I can't do these other things. So I appreciate you saying that.
And this is the difference between academic truth that over time is true versus what am I doing this week? Now,
Right.
I grew up in corporate. If we had a problem in corporate, we first of all decide who should be in the room. We'd set up a meeting. We'd talk about it for 2 weeks, and then maybe hopefully decide. When you're in small business, you got to get that decision done today. Have emails and phone calls launched so you're doing something different tomorrow. You would be surprised what people can do out there and make money. Like when I first started, it's like I would never launch that product that they just launched. They're making money and they're winning, and I'm over here thinking about it. So this whole issue of move and get some motion going, you're going to learn while doing. You can't learn just sitting in port before your ship takes off, or at the airport in Juliana's metaphor for flying. You got to take off and see what it's like.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the questions that were in the class. We'll start with, we answered some of these, but let's just, corporate clients, some people had questions about that. The obvious reality is that they have the most finances usually. So you can charge top dollar. That's why we think we want them. And Dave, yes, what's your thing?
They're going to be the hardest client, and they're going to be the least open to your heart and aspiration as to what you want to do. I do not want to work with corporate clients. I've spent 25 years trying to convince people to change, and it's very change resistant, very politicized. Now, if by corporate, you mean small and mid-sized businesses, I change that. Generally, when people mean corporate, they mean large. It's just not that productive. And even clients coming in to pay for what I do you know who's the stingiest? Larger companies. Small companies and mid-sized companies are far more likely to fund you and get you going than large companies. It's counterintuitive, it's true.
And I would say you're more likely to meet the person with the pocketbook if you're in the mid-sized company.
Yeah.
You're more likely to impress them with because you are the product, guys. That's the important shift. You are the product. And you would just have to be authentically you, and that will draw the people to you that need you. But you do have to start thinking when you're around and putting yourself in environments to speak to the people who might want to know you and your services.
Mhm.
So that's our opinion about that. What tools do we recommend for back office? Dave, you're the back office guy.
To start with, you need a calendar schedule. You don't need anything more than Excel for your business right now. I know that's kind of weird, but you're just not going to have that many expenses just yet. You're not having to forecast anything. Calendly for calendar, Excel for that, and you need to be able to receive credit cards. There's a number of online ones. I'm all wrapped up in QuickBooks. I just kind of jumped in there because I had a little bit larger scope when I started, but
I can Venmo. Yeah, credit cards are Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. Zelle doesn't have any fees. And so that's the one I always say, and you learn how to structure it. You like send them, you say, hey, this is how I'd love for you to pay. Do my Zelle. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't have, you're like, well, we can do PayPal. It just costs an extra 3%. That's no problem if you want to do that. You learn how to kind of figure out those pieces as you go. Again, this falls under information. There's some of these nuances that if you're with others who are doing it or have done it, you're going to learn some nuances and maybe save yourself some time. But most of it, it's doable. You can also, I hired a QuickBooks. She's called a daily money manager. She's certified in QuickBooks. She has insurance, so she's not going to steal my money. And if she does, I know who to go to get my money back. Those are good ideas. I don't like numbers. I make Dave do every number that comes into our world. It's kind of exaggerating, but.
No, it's good that you brought that up, because even I hired someone because I didn't want to take the time to learn QuickBooks. Like, I need to learn another tool like a hole in the head. I needed to be out there working on things. And so I paid someone to do it for me and then show me. And then I kind of took it over. And then when the business got big enough, I let my accountant just take care of it. Right. But again, keep it simple. The question is, how much money is this going to get me next week if I do this?
Mhm.
Do you guys team up? You like, how does talk to us about I don't understand your business structure. You and are y'all partners, or how does it work?
Oh my gosh. How does it work? Dave is the, in the Bible, they talk about the fruit of the Spirit. Dave is the definition of good. He is the goodest man that I know. And so how do we work? is that we do groups. So we did a TLP for a while, and then we did what we call next level, because what we found is the Townsend Leadership Program didn't meet all the needs of our clients. So we run a year-long next level leadership program, which includes process, as you understand it. It includes team coaching and goal setting. It includes a work group / team coaching experience. And actually we have openings. We did have our first meeting today, but we have 3 openings. We're having, the next one is virtual. And then after that, we're going to meet in Chicago for the next 12 months.
And is it for coaches, or is it like cross-pollination, like TLP? Okay.
Cross-pollination. I do have a just coaches group I can talk to you about that I call EQ coaching. But that's just me. Dave does a number of stuff with churches. But I think the coolest thing about working with Dave is that we started in process together, right? So he knows where I'm vulnerable. I know where he's vulnerable. We can just be like, I'm a hot mess. Don't make me do math, and he can be like, I'm a hot mess. Can you listen to me? And I listen to him. I mean, it's just great because we have the relational need exchange so well. But I've learned so much from Dave. He always says there's always got to be a 49-51. Like, we run these groups together and we're pretty much the same, energy and who does what. We trade back and forth, but it's his group this time. Sometimes we trade off years. You're right. This year it's called Rider Leadership. That's a couple years in a row because that's what we've done. It was mine for a while, but that's how we do it. And I love doing it because I feel like all the gaps are filled. If I don't know what to do, he'll know what to do, and vice versa.
And candidly, we both could work independently. It is not a monetary benefit to split revenue, right? And we both would much rather work with somebody else because for both of us, there's a kindredness about our why. We're running a business, but we're not running a business.
Right.
We're on mission because we had shared values. We have shared outcomes. They're not the same, but they work. So we do independent work together, but we are partners in this group space because we complement each other so well. Leader space, all sorts of challenges. You guys have just been steeped in the character part of that challenge, but every leader has real presenting problems when they get back to the office. They got people problems, they got structure problems, they got money problems, they got client customer problems, and it's all one big happy mess for them. And so we have to be able to speak to all of those different things. And so Juliana and I together can go hard organization and in a nanosecond go deep heart. And that's what makes our groups just so unique and distinct, and why we've enjoyed working with others so well.
Yeah. One of the reasons I work with Dave is because I have these 3 values this year. It's transformational. He really gets it. And it's transformational work. It's in my sweet spot. Like, if I have someone in my team who does math, then I don't have to do anything I don't like. And he doesn't mind it, right? Or, I mean, I'm using math as an example, but it's
super easy for me to work on an Excel spreadsheet, punch it out, be done. It's not even worth explaining it to somebody else to do it. So that's what we do.
Right. Plus, it's fun. These are my top values. We did a values training this morning.
That's great.
And these are the things that are important to me right now. This is how I make decisions. I don't hire anyone who doesn't have fun. So enough about me. Let's talk about you talking about me, shall we? So let's get back to the questions though, because I want to make sure we cover them. How do you speak about the character model in Townsend? The truth is you don't lead with that.
No.
End of story. You don't lead with that. You lead with traditional coaching stuff. EQ is as close as you can get to it, but even then you better have some language around it that the business people understand. It's an operating system in the back of your mind, which is going to make you a better coach than most people. And you only teach about it after they have had an experience of transformation. You say, oh, well, So that was actually what we call, excuse me, a core character trait or competency or capacity, whatever name you decide to use. I use capacity. It's that we call healthy separation. And so you working on delegating is like this internal muscle, and you can do just a 5-minute conversation where you teach that. And if they say, oh, I really want my whole team to do that, I would be happy to teach you. And you don't call it anything psychological or whatever. You think about what can they handle, word on the street. What do they get? How can they understand it? You speak their language. That's the answer to that.
And every business leader that I've ever worked with has a presenting problem and they want it fixed and they want it to go away. And anything related to people is training. That's it. That's all they know.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, they have a presenting problem, which is not the problem. You guys know this, right?
Right.
So when they come up and say, I got to fire this guy because they're an idiot, right? That's their problem as they presented it. And they want to know if they should elongate that or train. So any solution in the people square is a training lever, which also is not what you do. That's where they show up and start the conversation. So things like, are you a little weary of reading books about how to solve this? Have you ever been knocked to your leadership knee? Explain that to me and you get an idea what happened for them, right? Because you're going to let them know there's more to the equation without talking about more to the equation. Okay. So honestly, like I would say, hey, tell me a time that you kind of got knocked to your leadership knee, and they'll tell you about confusion. They'll tell you about lack of clarity. They'll talk about getting out over the edge of their skis. And you say, what do you understand about that? Right? We all get knocked out we get out over our skis. Do you know why you got nervous? Tell me about the challenges. So these are just ways of mining that type of information out. But we never talk about attachment and separation until you're probably in year 2 or 3 of a client engagement. They just want their problems fixed and they want to know if you can help them.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm going to do a little how to sell there. Okay. When you're talking about what Dave just said, we call it CPR. You find the wound and you cut it. So then you pour salt in it and make it really hurt, because then they're going to accept the remedy, which is the R, which is you. That's a just very terse marketing conversation.
What did you say the C was?
Cut the wound.
A cut. Okay. That's great.
I have a marketing seminar this Friday. You guys might want to come. Okay, so.
Could you do that P again? I got the C, I got the R.
C is cut, P is pour salt in the wound.
All right.
And R is you are the remedy. It's not very nice, but don't tell anyone.
They already
Secret
know.
sales. Yeah.
All right. How do I use this model within a company? If you're already in the company, you just start getting results and making deep relationships. And you just start, people are so hungry for this. If you start having these conversations with them and you get to be a coach or trainer or leader, they're going to want more of it. End of story. Just live it in your relationships.
Be attentive and be shrewd to the posture of your HR department. Don't get more than 3 steps ahead of them. People get nervous when we start talking about things on the inside in corporate structures. Traditional HR training, I'm an old HR guy, makes them nervous about that stuff. Most professional coaches won't touch internal things. They only want to talk about behavior and how I get you to the next goal. You guys are able and willing to operate within the internal story and even the backstory of our lives as to how this fits now. That will make some HR organizations nervous, so just know your organization.
Yeah, I love that, Dave. And I'm going to steal a Daveism. He says, you look back in the service of moving forward. So you reassure them, hey, the only reason we're digging around here is because you need to move forward. And it'll help you.
That's good.
And for the therapist trained people, that's the difference between a therapist and a coach.
Mhm. Let me answer. Wendy and Leslie came on and we had a conversation at the beginning. They were on a little early, and they're therapists, but they also want to have the capacity to coach when you're across state lines, things like that. Maybe it's family, friends, and you can't do therapy, things like that. The first thing I need to say to you guys is learn the container of therapy, because there's a reason that they have those containers. Don't start blurring that until you're really solid. I've just seen people run amok with boundaries. Once you start breaking the boundaries in the container of therapy, it's a sacred space. You don't want to mess that up. Okay, so just, I'm going to shout that. The second thing is that with a very clear understanding, you can coach people and use the character structure model, because they'll know you're a therapist. You're like, look, I'm really heavy on, I'm a character model coach. I'm an EQ coach, whatever you got to decide what you're going to call that. And I help people with relationships. There are marriage coaches, there are, but you have to remember that coaching must have a so that.
Mm-hmm.
It has, every coach, unlike therapy, every coaching session, you have to land the plane and move them forward. That is what a coach is paid for.
One more thought on that, Juliana.
Yeah.
You've got to decide to what role faith plays in your practice, whether that is in there at all, whether that is expressed up front, whether it's not. If that is something that you're going to talk about, I like to ask the question, do you know where performance comes from? Okay, they're going to tell you skills. And then I like to say, well, I've met a lot of people who've got an A on the exam that I would never, ever, ever hire. Have you met anybody like that? So it's more than skill, right? Performance comes from heart. Now, scripture tells us this. Proverbs 4:23 tells us, guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. There's more to performance than skill. Did you know that? Now, the conversation might not get anywhere past that, but you've tweaked them now, and you might get the plan in on emotional intelligence now, right? Have you ever met an effective leader that doesn't know how to work with people? Well, no, right. And so you gently bring them into something deeper, but everyone's been trained that if I'm smart and make a good plan and I went to class, I'm good to go. But our experience screams that's not true, and we all know that.
I'd like to shift to the questions that you guys brought to the table. See if we can hit a couple of these. I tried to start a Facebook group, started videos. I think I want to do group coaching. Any thoughts? Do you have experience with it? Again, this falls under the category of how can you make money next week? These are good things to do, but will that yield immediately results? No. It's a great idea for me to videotape this and send it to you guys. Is that going to yield immediate results? No. There is always investment like that, but you want to couple it with, what am I doing with real people? How am I doing that? I have found Clubhouse to be, have you guys ever do you guys have Clubhouse?
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to, text me, I can give you an invitation to it. A couple people I've met have found that a really great place to actually meet people voice to voice. You look like you might be interested by your shaking of your head, Rebecca, but anyone, if you could text me, I can send you, I have like 4 invites. It's like this invite only thing, well, whatever. But it's a different social media platform that's completely different than anything I've seen. And I think people like us can excel there.
I like that.
So Kristen, I'm stuck in sell it. I have a lot of ideas, retreats, groups, in addition to one-on-one confidence. What platform for marketing have you seen success? What should I budget for marketing? Well, I think what Dave said, you don't budget until you have income coming, right? And so I think it was you, Kristen, who said I need actually to do my warm contacts first, right? Okay. So you know that, see, this is the thing. I love coaching, right? You already know the answer.
Sphere of influence.
Yes. So, hey, this is what every good coach and program and all that, they say, make your 100 contacts. Call your 100 these are people who like you, they care about you, they know of you, right? And you always, so you let them know what you're doing. You make a check. Did I let them know? You should have calm. I let them know. How did you let them know? I need to let them know voice to voice. Yes, introduce it and then follow up, have a conversation, have coffee, have a virtual appointment, whatever. And always leave with, do you know anyone else who might be interested in understanding what I do? The whole point of those conversations is not to sell to your friend. It is to get another contact. That is always the point of those meetings. If you get another contact, you're successful. And I'll say, for me, it might be 6 months before there's any fruit from that conversation.
Yes.
Right, Dave?
The tail is very long.
Mm-hmm.
You're sowing seed, and the fruit might not pop till much later. And the only other thing I'd say, like retreats and groups is an idea, it's a concept. Get that down to something practical, like one retreat on this weekend in June. It's Friday to Sunday. Now we're down to something that's concrete that we can talk with somebody about. Just one retreat, that's all you got to do, and find out how it went. Do a 3-month group, a taste of, a pilot. I'm running a pilot on this group stuff. Would you be interested in participating in this taste? It's 3 sessions. That's it. Inviting them to a taste. They'll have experience of that. So narrow that thing down to something that's executable in a short time horizon to keep you moving.
Yes, and yes, and yes. And I just so happen that I'm making a retreat. And you're invited. Yes. And you're invited because I can't get this idea out of my mind. I want us all to get together in a really great environment, put our heads together, get some action plan going, do some deep process. It's all going to be Juliana style. You don't want to miss it. And you can invite a friend and they can get introduced to this idea. So I've had this idea, Kristen, for, I don't know, 12 years, you know, and I'm in a place where I can now talk to people about it. I've done my small things where I've culled it and I've known what's going on. This is my first, like, okay, it's open to the world. We'll see, sink or swim. It's okay. But it just might be me and a personal chef at a mansion.
Delicious.
Right? I mean,
that it
And a
will.
masseuse.
and, well, yes, we have that too, actually.
Yes.
So, let's see if there are other questions.
I have a question, but it's not on the chat. I'm
Okay.
sure you're shocked. But my question is length of engagement. I have found, so I have 2 clients currently. I had 3 and we kind of wrapped up, which I felt actually good about. Like, yeah, you're good. Like the thing that you were kind of working on, well done you. And that was what they could afford. And I didn't want to be, it's important to me to not be greedy or one of the things that I always didn't like about therapy whenever I tried it was I felt like, I felt like, I don't know when this is going to end. And I feel like I'm paying you for something. I don't know what I'm paying for you for. Like, it just got me stressed. And so I kind of like the idea of having a defined time frame, and that at the end, if we want to extend it, we do. And if we don't have to, because they can always come back. That worked well for me. The other 2, I'm concerned that there's a question in here. I'm just concerned that there sort of isn't an end in sight, and it doesn't feel great to me right now. It doesn't feel like we're making huge progress. It feels like we're making little teeny teenies. So what is your advice about engagement length?
So
I could have just asked that, sorry.
No, I think the real question you're asking is, what do you do with clients who make incremental change?
That's maybe true. Yeah.
and you feel a little bit bad that they're not making bigger change.
Right.
And so you're taking responsibility for their growth. And I'm not having that, Nishi.
Okay, that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, because one of them, I feel like we keep going back to zero because he'll kind of stop and he'll go, okay, we just need to reset. And I'll say, well, no, we're not going to reset. We're going to go from here. But then he wants to dial back and then keep going. Like, so it becomes a little bit painful.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's a good word.
sometimes it is. And what your job is as a coach is to say, if you really have a concern about making progress, you check in with them. Hey, we've got 3 months left on our contract. I want to make sure I'm delivering what you want me to deliver. How are you feeling about our progress? Oh, it's great. I love Mishi. Blah, blah. You're probably giving him so many relational needs that it's filling so many spaces inside him. He doesn't want to, it doesn't matter if he's making actual progress in your mind or his
And
mind.
I think I would say that's true.
So as long as you keep asking him, does he want this? Is it meeting his needs? It is a good thing to do. That's
okay. And I've been doing that. So thank you for that confirmation. Thanks.
And so not knowing, and this is one of the balances here, that there's times I can come across a little too intense, but I'm just going to give you my gut on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can take it.
Well, of course you can. I'm not worried about that. A good coach is always willing to get fired.
Yeah.
So you can ask him all that. And then I want you to ask him this. So I notice you keep going back to zero. Are you actually interested in growing or not? And then sit quiet. Because we do a nice loop and something happens, but we always end up right back here. And here's not where you want to be. You've already declared it. My job is to point that out to you. And I'm curious, why do we keep ending up back here?
Yeah, that's great.
And there's times, and this is the difference between therapy and coaching. Sometimes you gotta do a 2x4 up to the head for them to get jarred. And then what happens next, you can work with. Maybe they're just going to go soft and hurt. Well, meet them there. Maybe they're going to be stunned. Meet them there. But sometimes we have to be that jarring catalytic agent, and don't be bashful about stepping in.
That's a good word. Thank you.
So I want to leave with a SMART goal because I've just gotten sold on this whole coaching process and how it catapults growth in addition to the character stuff and therapy. All right. I want you to start thinking about the answers to the questions that we posed, because you're going to check out with a very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timed goal for you to take your next step to move forward in your goals. Okay. So is it competence or confidence? Where do you land on that now? And what are you going to do to take the next step with that? Are you really, truly, are you considering, thinking, researching, or ready to execute? And how do you move from one to the other to get ready to execute? Suggestions, as we said before, there are so many things that you can do on your own. And when you are successful doing it on your own, do it. And then you're done. You don't just put it on your calendar, get it done. There are many things about that you probably can do, many things I can do. And then there are things I can't do without help. So then we move down to get in a coach, make your own team, call up the people from your kickoff, call people you met in a program that you had a synergy with, call someone who's doing the same thing you are. Say, do you guys want to do it together? Let's read Donald Millard's branding book together. Okay, you need people fuel. Or you hire a coach, or you offer to coach each other and exchange that. I do that. I actually did that with Lauren, Dave, we've done that 3 times in a row. During COVID, she was in TLP with Dave and I. Lauren and I, she's a coach. We met for 3 hours, an hour and a half for me and an hour and a half for her. And we just switched roles. It was super productive, very good. So then otherwise you might need a team coaching. We've got the rider leadership. We have 3 openings. Let us know if you are interested in that, or you know someone who's interested in that, because I hate to have an empty seat in that. For me, it's like, did any of you guys see Harriet Tubman show? The slave Underground Railroad?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, there's this scene where she's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to get my husband. Like I'm going to she takes the risk to go down there back into slave territory. And she comes and she goes there and finds out her husband thought she was dead and married someone else.
Oof.
And by the way, her family is about to be sold. And so she actually rescues 9 people instead of 1. And then she brings them back to the Canada and registers them with the Free Slave Association. And this guy's like, oh, 9 people. She's like, yeah, it's not enough, is it? He's like, she's like, I got to go back. And she goes back and she goes back and she goes back. That is actually how I feel. Like, I want to go back and help people who don't know what they don't know, that they haven't tasted freedom, and help them see. I mean, like I'm so, that's why I sell this stuff, because I believe in it and I know it, and it's transformed so many people. All right. So we have that. There's also, I'm doing a virtual TLP for people who don't want to travel. That starts next month. That will be using Townsend material, but Juliana flavor. That is just me, not Dave, sadly. And then I started this new thing that Anita is doing with me. It's called EQ coaching. And this is for coaches who want more confidence in their coaching skills. This really revolves around a couple of we do live sessions of coaching. We practice skills. Like I give them a skill, they go into breakout. I visit the breakout. I give them live feedback. We do a process, an EI process. And I talk a lot about how do you do this in corporate or professional settings. And so we model that with our team coaching. That came about because I got to know Anita and her cohort that needed a catalyst. So I said, it's kind of like, you guys have a need, let me build it. And so we did. And so I'm offering that now to other people who want that. And there you have it.
And it's awesome, Juliana. I'm going to pipe in from phone land and say what I appreciate about it is it's responsive to our needs. So it's an example of a group that is active, and Juliana being coaching actively for our needs, even in a group setting. So we get to see it modeled. It's awesome.
Thank you, Anita. You know, I have to say, I think that's from my therapy training. Like I can pivot so quickly. Like I go in thinking one thing, but they present a different need. And my therapy has just taught me to follow, you know, and then the coaching has taught me to create containers and charges and challenges and things like that. It's just a lot of fun to be an adult. So this is right. This is the group that I would like to form. Let me know if you are interested, or anyone else, the Townsend TLPV. Oh, and then here's the famous retreat that I can't wait. I don't know, you guys, it may happen. I'm going to be there, but I don't know who else is going to be there. It's going to be a very expensive meal if I'm the only one there. That's all I have to say.
Juliana, I can't go, but I do live in Texas, and you will love it if it's near Waco. It's beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Well, thank you. Yeah, I do a lot in Texas, actually. My niche, my accidental niche is senior living, which you guys can read all about at capacityleadership.com if you're interested. But that's another story. Okay, what is your goal? What are you going to do? I would like all of you to put it in the chat. What is the next thing you're going to do between now and next Monday? If you I want you to virtually sit down in front of your computer next Monday at 7 and pretend you're talking to Dave or I. Take a picture of us right now. And then you can remember what we look like, and then you can accomplish your goal. Does anyone need like a certain kind of face? Like you need like the mom face, or
just a finger pointing? Come on.
That anyone need anything from Dave? Dave is an actor too, if I make him. You should see us at parties. Oh my gosh. This poor guy, I made this whole gala, whatever, of games.
Let's just say Juliana drives a boat, and sometimes I'm on a tow rope, and we're just.
It's great, but it's so great. Actually, Dave really
I didn't know I was body surfing behind the boat.
Hey, but Dave came with me when I did one of my first big gigs in Dallas, and he's like, okay, this is a corporate event. You have to go and you have to meet as many people as possible. I'm like, really? He's like, yes. And I'm doing it too, because that's what you need to do at this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like he set goals around having, well, not even having fun. He set goals about like,
Yeah, it had nothing to do with fun at corporate. No, no.
but I had a great time. I don't know why that should be stressful. It's stressful for Dave. And it also helped me because I had taught all day and I was like, whoa, I am losing my energy. And I actually had someone take me home at halftime. I didn't stay for the whole, there was a play or something that was going on. Okay. All of that is just fodder for you guys to make fun of us. And I'm going to stop. Do I have anything else on this screen? No. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to go to the, so I can see what you put in the chat. And then anyone who would like to unmute and tell us what you're going to do. Tell us your SMART goal. Declare it out loud. Will increase your likelihood of doing it. And you know the statistics. If you actually get out your calendar and put it on your calendar, what's that exponential? You know, I don't even know what the numbers are, but it's big because Dave will tell me what they are when I get
No, I don't know that number.
He'll find that number
I
somehow.
can find that number, but yeah.
He would. All right.
I'll go.
Go, Mishi.
I definitely like the 100 people idea. I think that's brilliant. I am struggling a little bit. I have a full-time job, so I do have money coming in, but of course that cost me in time to kind of build this, but I'm really actually having a lot of fun with it. And I have a lot of momentum in building it. I'm in a coaching peer group that I meet with every week on Thursdays. And what I want to build my list of 100 people so that it's ready when I'm ready to pull my trigger. And I don't want to aim forever, but I also don't want to pull my trigger too soon. I want that timing to be good. So I've already made huge strides in some of my branding stuff and my business, creating my business, and I have all my licenses and all that kind of stuff. So the small goal right now is the 100, and then official launch will be in August. And that's been my goal all along. Like I graduated with my second master's last August, and I wanted a full year to kind of build and launch. And I'm not leaving my job yet, but I'm going to be ready to kind of clip on my consulting and coaching business. So that's my goal. And ultimately, can I just be brave and say this, that the name of my company is Moment Consulting Group, because life change happens in a moment. We have aha moments and pivotal moments, etc. But I would love for it to be a place where qualified people from Townsend actually could clip in, and we could create the infrastructure for them, and they could just then be able to offer their services, and I'll be independent contractors with Moment Consulting Group. So anyway, that's the bigger dream, but
Love it.
we'll see.
Okay, we know where Mishi's going. Kristen had to go. Oh, did she get out?
No, she's got it. She's got one in there.
Oh, she does.
Retreat in Mexico in May.
Without her goal. Okay, Rebecca, I see that you're going to do Clubhouse. So Rebecca, you have a complimentary consultation on my calendar, which all of you are welcome to go to julianawilhelm.com and grab 30 minutes of my time to figure out what's next for you. And I'll hook you up with Clubhouse then, and we'll talk about how to do it. Okay. Okay. Did Kristen leave a,
I think she did the 100.
Yeah.
See the 100? Oh, good. Because I was gonna have to track her down. Leslie, what are you saying?
Oh, she's also going to do a retreat in Mexico in May.
Excellent.
There you go.
Going to a retreat?
I'm guessing conducting.
Awesome. Okay. Leslie, you're going to do the next module by Monday.
Yeah, I found a coaching certification online. I didn't want to jump into that without at least some kind of certification.
Mhm.
And I get distracted by grad school. So, but it's not hard, and it comes with all the forms and everything. I think it's really good. So I need to put my head down and do some more this week.
Got it. I can't wait.
Scott
Juliana,
Livingston's
it's
also doing an
Anita.
EQI certification. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Excuse me.
Anita?
Sorry, Michi, I was going to jump in and say, okay, so my goal this week is that I'm meeting with my new corporate client and we're doing the goal setting so that I can actually execute the contract. But you know what? I have a question for you and Dave. So this particular client, we're going in and saying, we're going to do the contract in 6 months and then evaluate and bring in the development team in 6 months. So as I write it, I think I'm clearly going to write it saying that we have that 6-month goal and that we're going to evaluate it. But in the language of my contract, do I say we're locking in for 6 months, or do I say it's cancelable with 30 days notice, which is typical in contract language?
Yeah. I mean, you always have to have an out, both of you. I
Yeah.
think, Dave. I mean, you might be miserable and you want to have even if it's, well, if you're really hungry, you're going to do it no matter what. However, there are some things that you want to be able to say, this is the contract, this is how we execute it. So, and if they aren't getting what they need from you, then they need to leave you. And that's supply and demand. That's just true.
Yeah, that's also true. I thought so, but it's my first time to write one with that
So,
clarity
Anita,
of we're reevaluating in 6 months to bring on additional team members.
one of the challenges with corporate is the signature loop. So just get
Yeah.
the signature loop now, put a note in your contract, the continuation work will be charged X number of day and will be verified in writing. That way this contract extends into the next window and you're not calling back 5 signatures.
Mhm.
Thank you. Got it. I can totally do that. Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Anita, I have some language on my contract that you have that at the end of this 6 months, it reverts to month.
Mhm.
So it does continue unless in writing, there's a quote that's submitted that we're ending the contract.
Got it. Okay. I'll look at that. Thank you. Thank you. That's my goal. I'm
Love
doing
it.
it.
I know you are. Margot is gonna make your sphere of influence list. Awesome. That is a good step. Whew, did we get everybody? Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Margot?
Sorry, I have trouble using Zoom on my phone. So
Yeah.
no, I finally found the chat and I have to go pick up my son. But and I do want to know more about your thing on Friday, your marketing.
Mhm.
I would
Okay.
love that.
How
Great.
did you
Thank
find out? Are you on my MailChimp? I think I put you on my MailChimp today. Did you
Okay.
did all of you guys get an invite to the retreat? That's how you know you're on my MailChimp. That was today. Okay.
Oh, I don't
I'm
think
not
so.
sure.
Okay. Margot, I'll check, but yeah, I'll put that on that Margot for Friday. You got it.
Yeah, I forget how I signed up, but once I sign up for the first thing, then I'm getting all the emails instead.
Very good. I'm going to see if I can actually find that for Margot and just, well, you're driving, so that won't make sense. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. Any closing?
Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. So good to see so many.
How often do you guys do this thing?
This is our first time.
Oh, no, I thought you had one other one. You had another meeting.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know what we're talking. How often do we do what?
That you said you didn't record, or you?
Oh,
Somebody
that
was
was the
asking for the-
kickoff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
At the kickoff, they asked the professors who wants to teach, what do you want to teach about? And then I told them I wanted to teach with Dave, who wasn't actually a professor at this kickoff, but he joined.
Gotcha.
That's
How do we get the recording you said this is part 2, so I didn't get part 1. How do we get that recording?
I am seeking that out through Mike Assurance, but you
Oh.
feel free to do that as well. All of the kickoff breakouts were recorded.
Oh yeah, I need to figure out where. Okay, all right.
You figure it out, then you tell me,
I know. I don't. This is like my third one. I never get the recording.
right?
I just
But
probably
what-
need to email someone. That's fine.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was emailing.
Okay.
I tried to find out. Dave says he's got to go. He's got a hard stop. Goodbye,
Good to be
Dave.
with you guys.
Bye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
all. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody. Margot, you're still with us. Is there any way you can log off or maybe not?
She might have stepped away.
Yeah. Well, that was fun.
Good. You're still recording. We'll maybe just catch up tomorrow.
We'll catch up tomorrow. See you, Dave.